This is my latest creation. I call it the Sound Cannon. It's based on the old Ibanez Sonic Distortion from the 80s, which was famous for being the other green pedal that Ibanez made, aside from the Tube Screamer. It's a pretty cool circuit design, but there were a couple things that could be changed, so I looked up some mods online and applied them to the design, and here we go. One of them, well, before I get into them, this is the clean sound without the pedal on. I'm just playing my SG into my Blues Junior. And here's the pedal engaged. So, the two main issues with the original design, the Sonic Distortion, were despite it having lots of gain, it didn't have too much output volume. And the tone control, it's kind of like a Big Muff variant, which gives a pretty scooped tone, which can be cool, but obviously when you're trying to cut through the mix while playing live, can be frustrating. Also, the tone control, as part of it, gets very, very bright all of a sudden. So I've applied some mods to really address all those problems. But first, that's the volume, that's the gain, that's the tone control, and this is one of the extra controls I've added to just the problem. I'll get to that in a second. So yeah. Lots of gain to it, but can be kind of hard to hear when live because there's not a lot of mids to it. So, this knob here I could have just used a switch, but I decided to use a pot instead. But essentially what it does is it changes up part of the tone control circuit, and just makes it so less of the mids are dialed off in the tone control. So effective that even with the tone control rolled all the way off, which gives the darkest sound, like when you turn it up, it gives actually a pretty nice, pleasant, flatter sound to it. I also changed the taper of the tone control so that like it gets pretty bright all the way up at the top. But instead of having it so that the middle point is where it changes from, you know, pretty bassy and dark to trebly and thin, I changed it to a audio taper pot so that you have just a better range of tone before it starts getting too bright and thin. So those two changes make the tone control portion of the circuit much more usable than would be on a normal sonic distortion. Just easier to dial in with the different taper on the tone control, and then that control to just let more mids through. It's it doesn't boost mids at all. It just keeps as many of the mids from being lost in the scooped shape of the circuit. So the other big thing I've added is this foot switch. So to make up for the gain that's like I said, the output volume leaves a little bit to be desired there. Like, you can get to unity and whatnot, but it's not too much of a volume boost. But anyways, Ibanez a few years back released an updated version of the Sonic Distortion with an extra gain stage called, I believe, the Sonic Distortion mod. And this extra gain stage just provided a little extra push to the output, but it also had a little toggle switch there so that you could get extra gain and crunch out of it as well. I decided, instead of a toggle switch, why not have a foot switch so you could change between the two settings while live. That was just me going on there. A bit longer than needed, probably. But, yeah, like, with the lower gain setting, like, there's a really stark difference between with the extra gain engaged and when not. There's a little bit of a difference when you have the gain all the way up, but no, like you can get a nice little overdrivey sound there. Like there's still not heaps of output volume, so it's not like you can like push an amp into overdrive just by the output of this thing, but it's better than the stock circuit would be. But you know, you can add a little bit of dirt there to color up your sound, and then when you really want to go into a lead sound, just use that to poke your guitar sound through and make it a bit stronger, and yeah. So it's a pretty cool pedal. It's you know, one of those circuits from like when guitar pedal makers clued into using op amps for a lot of their builds. You know, it's in a similar vein to a bunch of circuits, or at least I see it as a similar vein of like the Boss DS1 or the Proco Rat or others that just, you know, it's focused all around one gain stage, even though they might have extra gain stages to do a couple other things. The DS1 has an extra op amp stage as a buffer, but primarily the work being done is by one gain stage of an op amp, and just driving it for all it's worth. A hideous rendition of Dirty Deeds, which Angus Young definitely wouldn't have used a pedal like that, but just to demonstrate the sound of this. As you just heard there, that was me messing about with the volume control. Like I tend to do with a lot of pedals I build, I like to make sure that you know, the input and output impedances are just right, so that they play along well with both pedals further on in your chain, but also with your guitar signal, so that you can clean up the sound, like even in the high gain mode. that's really important to me, being able to clean up your sound with your guitar's volume and tone controls. Like, I mean, sure, it's convenient to, you know, just step on the pedal to get your different sounds, but I like being able to get little increments of cleaner sounds, like some of the best, like, not clean sounds, but like clean on the verge of dirty sounds I find are when you have a cranked amp or a good pedal that you roll back and it still retains a lot of clarity and everything, and you're still getting boosted signal. How do I describe this? It's just, you know, it still provides a lot of warmth, clarity, and fullness and everything, but you're still able to dial it back and get cleaner sounds. Like fuzz face does it in a different way, because its impedance is so low on the input, but it's pretty pleasant as well. Like a lot of Jimi Hendrix tones there when he was changing between dirty and cleaner tones was with a fuzz face on. But this video is already too long and I shouldn't be getting into fuzz faces. So the Sound Cannon, I'm selling it for about $140 Canadian. If you're interested in it, it's a pretty cool pedal. I'm going to add it to the price list that I have pinned on my Facebook page. Actually, as soon as I have this video up and done, I'm going to do that. And